Hey, Jack, what do you think of this poem? Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm ready to start the show. How about you?
Okay, welcome back to the Vault of Knowledge, where we link literature to history while hopefully inflicting minimal pain in the process.
Pain? What pain? I'm a joy to be around. I'm sure our question asker of the day would think so too. Who is it?
Portia.
Well, that's a name you don't hear every day. It's cool though. Oh, and her question's about Shakespeare.
She says, I'm having trouble reading Shakespeare's plays. Could you explain about some of the language he uses?
Yeah. Shakespeare is the best. Portia, I would be happy to explain the language of Shakespeare to you.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How would you explain the language of Shakespeare to her?
Well, there are a few tricks to it. One is the order of the words. Remember, when you're reading Shakespeare, a lot of his stuff is poetry. Not all of it, but a lot. And it's poetry with meter and sometimes rhyme.
Iambic pentameter, usually. 5 feet with unstressed, stressed syllables.
Yeah, that. It sounds like this. But soft what light through yonder window breaks, to make the rhymes and the syllable emphasis work. Sometimes Shakespeare would switch the words around. He would around the words switch.
How about, in Shakespeare's plays, the words around are switched?
That's the spirit, Jack. So there's the poetic form and the word switching aroundery.
You do know aroundery is not a word.
It could be if I were Shakespeare. More than 1,000 words in the English language were made up by him or popularized by him in his plays. Words like madcap, submerge, hobnob, gnarled, and groveled.
Laughable, lackluster, disheartened, frugal, multitudinous.
Arch-villain, newfangled, and bedazzled.
Some of his words didn't catch on, though, which is why today's readers have difficulty with certain words and expressions in his plays.
It's kind of like reading the poem The Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. A lot of words don't make sense outside the poem because they're not real words.
It can also be hard to follow all of the wordplay in his plays.
You might think that Shakespeare was a dry, boring dude, but he wasn't. His plays are full of inside jokes and puns.
Unfortunately, some of those references only make sense to people from Shakespeare's own culture and time, the late 1500s, early 1600s.
Yeah, never underestimate cultural influences. I tried telling a joke when I was over in Asia, and by the time I explained pumpkin chunkin', cowboy boots, and grits, it just wasn't funny anymore.
It wasn't funny to begin with.
How can you even say that? It starts with this farmer who's growing pumpkins.
Okay, anyway, back to Portia's question. The language of Shakespeare is early modern English. It's from the same time period as the King James Version of the Bible. There might be different spellings and unusual words, but for the most part, with some work, Shakespeare's understandable.
Be thankful he didn't write in Old English. You'd need a translation for that.
I'd suggest watching some of Shakespeare's plays. The props, scenery, action, and the actor's interpretation of the lines can really communicate Shakespeare's meaning. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but I hope my colleague and I...
Wait, I did most of the talking today.
You failed with meter every time you tried.
I hope the mysteries for you dispel the language mysteries I hope we accomplished.
Maybe you should stick with roses are red and pumpkin chunkin'.
Roses are red, pumpkins are orange.